Hey there, in today's practice, we are going to work towards squat pose or Malasana. And we're going to stay pretty close to the floor for this practice. There will be just a little bit of standing, but we will spend quite a bit of time on the knees. And so if you have sensitive knees, when you're kneeling for long periods of time, even if you have support underneath, today might not be the class for you. You'll want to make sure that you have 2 blocks or a way to lift up the floor and a blanket or towel so that you can support yourself with the knees if you need just a little bit more padding. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So you'll want to find a comfortable seat in whatever way that looks like for you. Once you're there, make any adjustments that you might need so that you can then find the most comfortable and still version of this pose. Rest the hands somewhere along the legs. Maybe you inhale, sit tall. Exhale, relax the shoulders down away from the ears. And close the eyes. Or you can gently gaze down at the nose. And slowly you'll start to notice how the hips are contacting the floor. Does it feel like you're leaning more to the left or to the right? Next, you'll start to notice the rate of your breath. Is it fast or slow? Are you breathing into the chest, the belly, or both? Next, you might take the time to scan the body from the top of the head all the way down to the tips of the toes. Checking in with how everything feels in this moment. You might notice certain areas feel a little bit more tense or uncomfortable, and others that maybe feel a little bit more relaxed or at ease. Reminder that one of these is not necessarily better than the other. It's just a reflection of how you move throughout your day. Finally, you'll bring your awareness to the mind to reflect on any thoughts that have come up so far in your practice or your day. Has the mind been racing with thoughts, or has it been a little bit more calm? Do the thoughts revolve around a certain topic? And do they like to linger, or can you easily let them go? We'll take one deep breath together where you inhale for 4, and then you open the mouth and let out a nice on the exhale. You might imagine yourself releasing something stressful or frustrating that you just don't want to carry into your practice. So when you're ready, you'll inhale for 4, breathe deep for 3, feel the ribs expand out to the side 2, sip in the last bit of air 1, open the mouth, exhale. Slowly start to lower the chin down towards the chest. Interlace the fingers behind the head and pull the elbows forward. Continue to sit tall as you exhale, tuck the chest even closer to the chest. And then maybe relax the shoulders away from the ears. You can round the spine even more so that elbows point towards the floor. 3 to 4 breaths into the back side of the neck and the space between the shoulder blades. Next, inhale, gently push the head into the hands to lift the head up. Exhale to relax the hands down towards the legs. Inhale, shrug the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale to squeeze the shoulder blades together tight and then down towards the hips. One more. Inhale, shrug the shoulders up. Exhale to squeeze the shoulder blades together tight and then all the way down towards the hips. You'll slowly start to blink the eyes open if they were still closed. We'll do one more drill to kind of wake up the neck. So hands somewhere along the knees. Maybe you slide the hands underneath the hips, but you're going to keep the shoulders down away from the ears. Exhale, lower the chin down towards the chest. Then drag the chin over towards the right shoulder. Keep the left shoulder down and back. Inhale, lift the chin, look all the way to the right. And then slowly lift the chin up and to the right. Chin towards the center. And then chin up and to the left. Exhale, lower the chin to hover over left shoulder. Pull the right shoulder back. Another exhale, you'll lower. Chin down towards left shoulder. And then towards the center. We'll reverse the way out. So chin towards left shoulder. Inhale, lift the chin, look as far as you can towards the left, pull the right shoulder back. Slowly draw the chin up into the left. Then look straight up towards the ceiling. Then up and to the right. Slowly drop the chin to hover over right shoulder. And then you'll lower the chin to try and touch chin to right shoulder. Left shoulder back. Exhale, chin towards the center here. Slowly bring the head up to the center, and you'll make your way into a straddle position. So if you're sitting on a prop, you might want to take this out to the side, and we're not very warm, so this doesn't have to be a very deep straddle, just enough to get the idea here. We'll start with some deep hip rotations. So look at your left big toe, start to drop left big toe towards the ground, and then left pinky side. Slowly rocking back and forth here. Trying to feel this motion deep inside of the hip so the leg stays straight and moves as one unit. Then we'll do the same thing on the right. So when you're ready, left leg stays still. Look at your right foot to drop the right big toe down towards the ground. And then pinky side. And if this is really difficult to get quite a bit of range, you might bring the leg a little closer to the midline and see if that helps. Maybe 3 more here. And then with your next inhale, lift the chest. Tighten up the legs. Exhale, walk the hands forward. Pull the chest forward away from the hips. Then a slight tuck of the chin towards the chest. 3 to 4 breaths here, breathing into the back, maybe even back of the legs. Noticing how everything feels. And then you'll inhale, walk the hands back towards the hips, moving towards a side bend. So right hand down on the inside of the right leg. Turn the chest towards the left big toe. If you already feel a nice stretch, you are welcome to stay here. Inhale, take left hand behind the head, pull the elbow even further back behind you. This might be where you stay, or you can start to walk the right fingertips down towards the right ankle. Maybe you lower the right forearm towards the floor or a prop. Inhale, rotate left shoulder high to the sky. Option to take left fingertips towards the right toes. 3 to 4 breaths wherever you are. You might tuck the chin towards the left armpit and then gaze up either at the ceiling or towards the left fingertips. Breathe into the left side of the body. Inhale, start to pull yourself up. Same thing, other side. So left hand on the inside of the left leg, turn the chest towards the right big toe. You're welcome to stay here, or you're going to take the right hand behind the head, pull the elbow back behind you to rotate the chest even more towards the right. Then you can exhale to add the side bend, crawl the left fingertips towards the left ankle. Lower the left forearm maybe towards the floor or a prop. Inhale, try to spin the chest open one more time. Right elbow, shoulder up towards the ceiling. And then maybe you reach the right fingertips towards the left toes. You're welcome to tuck the chin towards right armpit. And then gaze at the right fingertips. Or up towards the ceiling. Breathe into the right side of the body. Last 2 to 3 breaths here. Inhale, start to pull yourself all the way up. And we'll start to slide the heels in. So you're going to draw the heels in a little bit. We'll refer to this as maybe a bear squat. So then you're going to drop the knees towards the right. Once you drop the knees towards the right, you'll want to make sure that you have a 90-degree bend in the front knee and in the back knee. One hand on each side. And we're just going to warm up the hips in a couple of different ways. So first you'll inhale, lift the chest, turn the chest all the way towards the right knee. Exhale, lower the chest down towards the floor. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, take the chest now towards the center of the right lower leg. And then again, inhale, lift the chest. So you can choose if you're going to lower again now for the next two, either towards the knee or towards the center of the lower leg. Exhale, lower down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower down, and we're going to hold for 4 breaths here at the bottom. Breathing into the hip or anywhere you might feel some tension or a nice stretch. Trying to keep inhales and exhales about the same length, 4 count in, 4 count out. Next inhale, you'll lift the chest. One hand again on each side. And this time you're just going to try and sink the left hip towards the floor. If this is enough and you feel a nice stretch, you're going to stay here. If you need a little bit more, you'll inhale, take the hands behind the head. Exhale, try to drop your left elbow towards the left knee. Inhale to lift. Take a second here. We're going to do one more. Exhale, try to touch left elbow to left knee if you're adding the movement. And then when you're ready, you'll inhale, sit tall. One hand on each side of the right leg. You're going to start to pivot it on the left heel. Try to keep the right leg as heavy towards the floor as possible. When you're ready, inhale, lift the left knee up towards the ceiling. Exhale, lower down. So you have 4 lifts here. Each time you lift, you want to, again, try to keep this right leg heavy towards the floor so you might not lift as much. Pivoting on that back heel. Last one here. We're just going to hold at the top for 3 breaths. Next, exhale, you'll lower left knee down towards the floor, and we're going to switch to the other side. So you'll inhale, pivot on the heels, lift the knees up, and then exhale, knees over towards the left. Try to keep a 90-degree bend in your back knee and your front knee, one hand on each side of the left leg. Inhale, turn the chest towards the left knee, and then you'll exhale, lower chest towards the left knee. Inhale to lift. Exhale, this time you might try to drop the chest towards the center of the left lower leg. Inhale to lift. So again, you can choose chest towards the knee or chest towards the center. Exhale, lower down. Inhale to lift. Exhale, you're going to lower down and hold. So wherever that feels best for you. And you have 4 breaths here. Next, inhale, lift the chest. Again, one hand on each side of the left thigh. And you're just going to try and sink this right hip down towards the floor. If that feels okay and you want to add a little bit more, you inhale, take the hands behind the head. Exhale, try to bring right elbow towards the right knee. Inhale to center, take a break. And then exhale, maybe see if you can reach a little further towards the right. Last couple of breaths. Inhale to center. One hand again on each side of the left thigh. You're going to try and keep this left leg heavy towards the floor. Inhale, lift the right knee up towards the ceiling. Pivot on the right heel. Exhale, lower the right knee down. 3 more. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower down. Inhale to lift. This next one we're going to hold. So next inhale, lift the right knee as high as you can and hold here. You can put a little bit more pressure on that left hand behind you. And about 2 more breaths. Inhale slowly, back towards the center. And we'll make our way into Navasana or boat pose. So start with the hands on the outsides of the thighs. Inhale, lift the chest. Roll the shoulders down your back. Point the elbows towards the floor. Slight squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then you're going to start to rock back a little bit until the toes can float off the floor. While you do that, maybe you need to tap the toes here to stay balanced, and that's okay. Or you're just going to float here. So this can be option 1. Option 2, you might lift the shins parallel to the mat. Option 3, maybe you take the hands away, lift the chest. And option 4 is to lift or straighten the legs, lift the chest up, hold here for 3. Gentle squeeze of the legs together for 2. And 1. Exhale, lower down. Keep the left leg straight. Hug the right knee in. So right foot in front of the right hip. And you're going to try and walk it in as close as possible. Hug the knee in tight. Inhale, sit tall. Then you're going to, without moving anything from the upper body, just try to encourage your right hip towards the floor. A little bit more. Last 2 breaths. Next exhale. You're going to slowly maybe straighten the leg, and then we're going to do another boat pose in Navasana. So you're welcome to go through those steps that we did before, or I'm going to give one more option. You're actually going to take your peace sign fingers around the big toe, and you're going to start to rock back. Woo! And then you're going to find your balance point. So maybe you just stay here, you balance with your hands, your fingers wrapped around your toes, lift the chest up. This is great. Or you're going to start to push the heels up. And so the hamstrings might not be very warm, and so maybe you look like this with the knees bent. Get them as close as you can towards the shoulders, lift the chest. If you feel comfortable, you might lift the legs up, straighten them as much as you need, or keep a slight bend. Hold here for 3, for 2, remember to breathe, for 1, exhale, lower the legs down towards the floor, left foot in front of the left hip, and then you're going to walk your foot as close as you can, hug the left knee in tight, inhale, sit tall, exhale, push the left hip into the ground. So you're trying to encourage left hip down and see if that creates this like stretching sensation somewhere in the body, maybe in the spine. And then after your next exhale, you'll release and come into a tabletop position. So in your tabletop position, if you know you have sensitive knees, take the time to already put some knee pads, some padding underneath the knees. Then you'll place the hands down underneath the shoulders, knees directly underneath the hips, push the feet into the floor. As you exhale, round the spine completely, tailbone down, chin to chest. And as you inhale, move towards looking up. Pull the chest forward and through. A couple of more rounds here, maybe 2 to 3, trying to push the boundary of your spine a little bit more each time. After your next round, you'll find yourself back in this neutral tabletop position. If you already know that you're going to need blocks for whatever reason or props, just make sure that they're going to be in reach for you. Maybe one on each side. All right, so now we're going to work on some compression. You'll inhale, shift more weight towards the right, lift the left knee off of the ground, and then try to touch left knee to left elbow. Maybe you can lift it a little higher, left knee towards the armpit. And then you're going to step your left foot down where the left hand is. Inhale, lift the chest slightly. And for our low lunge today, we're going to focus more on this front ankle rather than the back hip. So to do that, you're going to start to guide the left knee over the left toes while keeping the heel down. And you have about 4 breaths here. So heel down, knee, seeing if you can take it past the left toes without any significant pain. Last 2 breaths. Next inhale, you'll slowly start to lift the hips back over your right knee. Straighten the front leg to find your kneeling pyramid pose. Flex the left toes up towards the ceiling. The left leg straight or a slight bend in the left knee. Contract the left quads. And then hands can be on a prop if you need here. Exhale, round the spine, chin to chest, tailbone down. Inhale, look up. Pull the chest forward and through. Back and forth a couple of times. Trying to push the boundary of your spinal movement a little bit more each time. After your next round, You're going to start to step your left foot out to the side and the left toes in the same direction as the hips. So you might look like this. Inhale, lift the chest. Then you're going to turn left toes out to the side, bend the left knee. Start to shift the hips towards the left and back towards the right a couple of times so that you can encourage left knee towards the left toes and maybe even past. Then you're going to stack left knee over left ankle with a block maybe in front. Turn the chest so that it's in the same direction as the hips. Right hand can go on the right hip, left hand can rest on left thigh. Turn the chest even more. This might be where you stay. Or you'll exhale, take the left hand down towards the floor or a block at any height, but you want to pick a height that allows you to keep this right shoulder up. Maybe 2 breaths here. Always an option to take that right arm up and overhead. And again, you might tuck the chin towards the right armpit and gaze at the right fingertips. 3 more breaths. Really push the arm and the leg together and then hips slightly forward. Next, exhale, you'll take right hand down towards the floor. Sink the head down towards the floor. So the legs are going to stay the same. And you're just going to try and lower the hands, maybe the forearms down towards the floor. And you might feel a little bit of a different angle of a stretch on the inside of the inner thigh. If this is too uncomfortable, you're always welcome to stay up on the hands. Last 2 breaths. And then when you're ready, hands go down underneath the shoulders, lift the chest. You're going to step left knee next to the right. Sink the hips down and back. Find your child's pose. Walk the hands down and forward. Sink the forehead towards the floor. Breathe into the low back. Next, inhale, lift the chest. Same thing, other side. So find your tabletop position first, and then we'll start to work on that compression. So you're going to try and shift the weight more towards the left. Inhale, hover the right knee off the ground. Then you're going to try and touch right elbow or right knee to right elbow. Maybe you can lift it even higher to get the right knee closer to the shoulder, and then you'll step right foot where the right hand is. Start to shift the hips more forward so that you're trying to encourage this right knee towards the right toes, maybe even past, without letting this back or the right heel come off the ground. So you want the right heel to sink down as much as possible into the floor and encouraging the right knee as far forward as it can go. 4 breaths wherever you are. So again, we're emphasizing the ankle more so in this low lunge today to help prepare us for Malasana. Next, inhale, shift the hips back over the left knee to find your kneeling pyramid. Flex right toes up towards the ceiling with the right knee straight. And then you're welcome to add those cat-cows. So exhale, round the spine, chin to chest, tailbone down. Inhale, look up. Pull the chest forward through the arms. Couple more rounds here. After your next round, you'll start to slide the right foot out to the right so that now your hips are facing forward and you'll inhale, lift the chest, take the right toes, turn it towards the right. Almost like we're doing a modified warrior 2. Start to shift the hips towards the right toes with the right heel down and then back. So we'll do that a couple of times, shifting as far as you can towards the right. Trying to keep the knee in line with the toes. And then eventually you're going to stack right knee over the right ankle. You can have a block or a prop underneath ready to go. Take the right forearm to the right thigh, left hand to the left hip. Inhale, spin the chest. So left shoulder back behind you. And this can be where you stay, okay? If you want to keep going, you're going to slide that right hand down towards the floor or block in front of the right ankle. Once you're there, spin the left shoulder a little bit more back behind you. Maybe 2 breaths here. And then option to take that left arm up and overhead. Again, you might try today to tuck the chin towards the left armpit and then gaze up at the left fingertips. Try to roll the left shoulder up towards the ceiling. Really push down through your right foot. And then increase the pressure between right arm and right leg. Last 2 to 3 breaths. Next, exhale, you'll take left hand down towards the floor and try to sink the head down towards the floor while keeping the right knee stacked over the right ankle. This is like a modified humble warrior. If you can, maybe you lower the forearms down towards the floor. 3 to 4 breaths here. After your next exhale, hands go underneath the shoulders, lift the chest. Step your right knee next to the left, and you'll start to make your way into a downward facing dog. So, hand shoulder width distance apart, tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back behind you. Maybe you pedal it out, left, right, alternating heel towards the floor. Your goal here is to keep the spine very long, so you might need to bend the knees. 3 breaths in this position. Long, deep inhales, slow and controlled exhales. When you're ready, you'll start to look forward towards the hands. Step the feet towards the hands to find a gentle standing forward fold. You're going to bend the knees as much as you can. Relax the belly closer to the thigh. And your goal today is to see if you can sink the hips more. Maybe you need to walk the hands out. And you have 3 to 4 breaths here. Breathe into the low back, preparing the lower body for Malasana. After your next exhale, maybe you straighten the legs. You can alternate one and then the other. And then you're going to stack 2 blocks, if you've got it, for a restorative Malasana. You can also go very close to the wall and sink your hips down. Or if you have a stool, that will also work really well. So you're going to take the feet. They can go hips width distance apart. They can go wider. You can turn the toes out to the side. The biggest thing is that you want to pick a foot option that allows the knees to track with the toes. So once you kind of play with the foot position, you're going to sink the hips towards the block. Bring elbows on the inside of the knees. Push the palms together. Legs into the arms, arms into the legs. Inhale, lift the chest. We have 6 breaths here. Breathing into wherever you might feel some tension or a stretch. Next, exhale, hands can go down towards the floor. So you're welcome to stay here in a restorative version of Malasana, or you're going to take the blocks out from underneath the hips. Hands go down towards the floor. Exhale, sink the hips down. Lift the chest up. Try to keep the heels on the floor while you do this. And again, palms towards the center of the chest. Push the arms into the legs, legs into the arms. Lift the chest up. 4 to 5 breaths here, sinking the hips down, just observing how this feels. And if you've done a low squat like this or Malasana before, maybe just observing if this feels a little different when we've been very intentional on how we've warmed up the body. You're welcome to stay here, or I'm going to give the option to try a crow pose, which is an arm balance. So in your crow, the biggest thing is to make sure that you have the leg and arm connection that we were just practicing in Malasana. Hands go about shoulder width distance apart. Do not jump into crow. You shift the weight into the hands. So you're going to place the hands shoulder width distance apart. Hug the knees onto the outsides of the arms. If you can also try and put the knees on top of the triceps like this. So this is how you might do your crow, or you're going to hug the knees in tight. So hands down, start to look forward 3 feet in front of you, shift weight into the hands. And if you keep both feet on the floor and all you do is rock forward and back, this is a great way to start to get used to this idea of loading the hands. Once you're there, squeeze the elbows together, push the hands down, maybe lift one foot, other foot, and then you'll come back down. As you start to feel more comfortable, you just shift more and more weight into the hands. So again, hug the knees in tight, press the hands down, shift the hips, maybe lift the hips a little bit higher. 1 foot, shift more weight into the hands, touch the other toe to toe, hold here for maybe 3. You can, if you fall out, it's okay, get back in for 2. And 1, slowly release, maybe shake out the wrists, especially if you're doing this on carpet. And then you'll start to make your way onto the back. Once you're on the back, you can bend the knees here, maybe gently rock the knees side to side. Noticing how the low back and the hips feel in this moment. And then we'll start to make our way into a fish pose. So lift the hips slightly off the ground. Slide the hands underneath the hips. You can make a diamond pose, touching the index and thumbs together. Then you'll lower the hips down, straighten the legs. Push down through the forearms, lift the chest up, crawl the elbows closer underneath the body, puff up the chest. Chin can stay tucked towards the chest, or if you feel comfortable and you don't get dizzy, relax the head back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. 3 to 4 breaths here. Next, exhale, slide the elbows out to the side. Lower the hips down. Walk the feet in a little bit closer. So you have an option to do an active bridge here. Push down through the feet, push the low back into the ground, then inhale, lift the hips, maybe crawl shoulders underneath, and try to get the hips high. Look down towards the belly button or up towards the ceiling. If you have blocks and you want to try a supported version, you're going to slide the block or a pillow underneath the hips. Lower the hips down and just relax the sacrum or that bone that's between the 2 pelvic bones onto the block. So the block is not in the low back, it's in the space between the hips. And once you find the right spot, you should be able to just kind of relax the legs and hang out. If you're in your active bridge, you can lower down and then lift back up for another 5 count. So wherever you are, you have another 5 breaths here. If you're in an active bridge, you'll slowly lower the hips down. If you're in a supported bridge, inhale, lift the hips, pull the block out, exhale, lower the hips down. Start to hug the knees in towards the chest. Push the low back into the ground, back of the head into the ground. Maybe just notice how this feels today, same or different than it normally does. Exhale, drop the knees towards the left. Try to keep the right shoulder heavy towards the floor. 3 to 4 deep breaths here. You can use the left hand to give yourself a little bit more pressure on the outside of the right thigh. Inhale, bring everything back towards the center. Same thing over to the other side. So drop the knees towards the right. Try to keep your left shoulder down. Remember, you can always use a prop underneath the legs if you need to elevate them so that your left shoulder can stay heavy. You have about 4 to 5 deep breaths here, breathing into the left side of the body or anywhere where you might feel some tension or a nice stretch. Really taking the time to lengthen out the exhales, each one a little bit longer than the previous one. With your next inhale, you'll bring everything back towards the center. You're welcome to do any last bit of movement you might need here. And you'll start to make your way into your final resting pose. So add whatever support you might need to find the most comfortable position. Or you're going to start to straighten the legs out, allow the feet to fall out to the side and palms up towards the ceiling. As you take these few moments to get into your final resting pose, I'll kind of just describe the breath work that we'll work on today. Today we'll work on more of like a upside down triangle type of breath. You'll inhale for 4, hold the breath in for 4, and then exhale out for a count of 4. If at any point you start to feel anxious, lightheaded, or dizzy, please return back to a more normal way of breathing for you. And remember, there can be so many things that happen in life and in the body that make it difficult to change the rate of your breath. So if it's difficult today, practice patience and kindness with yourself. So when you're ready, you'll inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 4, 3, 2, 1. In. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 4, 3, 2, 1. In. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 4, 3, 2, 1. In. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 4, 3, 2, 1. In. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Long inhale. Nice long exhale. With each next exhale, allow yourself to feel more supported by the ground and any props you might have beneath you. So that as you continue to exhale, you might allow yourself to sink into this support. So that in time, as the body starts to feel more comfortable, it might release any remaining tension that it's holding onto. And eventually you might find this state of being that's right before you fall asleep, where the body is heavy, fully relaxed, resting, almost sinking into the support that's beneath it. And the mind is calm, but present. So that maybe you can take these next 2 to 3 minutes to rest and recover here. If it's difficult to quiet the mind, remember you can always count the breaths, use a nice long exhale or imagery to help any thoughts leave the mind. your next inhale, notice how the belly or the chest rises. With your next exhale, notice how they fall. So that as you bring awareness to the movement of the breath, you allow yourself to come back into this current moment. So you can slowly start to wake yourself up. You might wiggle the toes, the fingers, encircle the wrists and the ankles. Maybe you gently rock the head side to side or stretch overhead. Any movement that might feel good here. So that as you're ready, you'll start to roll to one side. Taking a breath or two there. And when you're ready, you'll start to put yourself up into a comfortable seat in the center of your space, where you might rest the hands somewhere along the legs. You can gently close the eyes or gently gaze down at the nose. Wherever you are, take a moment or two here to just observe how the body and the mind now feel at the end of your practice. You're always welcome to bring the palms together to touch, thumbs in front of the heart space in Anjali Mudra. You might take this time to just remind yourself that when you take this position of the hands, that it's meant to remind you of the connection between the right and the left sides of the body and the brain, but also our connection between ourselves and all living things around us. Then you might take the time to thank yourself for showing up to your mat, for dedicating this time to yourself and to your practice. Most of all, I would encourage you to thank your body for what it has allowed you to do today. When you're ready, you'll slowly start to blink the eyes open. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me guide your practice, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.